Recently, Dan Wootton got suspended from GB News along with this guy, Lawrence Fox, who made some comments about this woman, Ava Santina. I looked her up a little bit and I couldn't find too much on her as far as what she says and things she does without watching videos. But I get the idea of who she is. Now, that doesn't excuse some things they said that she might find distasteful. I just don't think the things are heavy enough for suspension. Now, the tricky part is obviously, I'm no fan of Dan Wootton. Dan Wootton wrote some bad things about Johnny and the Sun, and whatever Dan gets, I don't feel sorry for Dan. I'm not defending Dan, but if you make it about three people that are complete strangers, and I look at it completely objectively, well, I can't really say that this was deserved. It's just that, well, it's Dan, and since he wrote things about Johnny, I don't think I could feel sorry for him for anything. So I think that's the complication here in the community who supports Johnny. And by the way, this person, Ava Santina, my guess, again, I can't find something, but is that she supports Amber. That would make sense with everything she says and does. She is the exact type of person who says, well, Amber's a woman, so therefore she's right. Let's believe all women. I could almost guarantee it. So if you want to defend somebody who I'd say there's a great chance supports Amber, I guess that's fine. But wouldn't you also think that this person doesn't exactly deserve to see someone suspended over a comment about her? To be honest, that men just say, yeah, I agree. It was inappropriate for a news show. It wasn't like some make fun of people podcast or whatever. And from a professional standpoint, I get it. But I think an apology would be enough. Now, the thing is, this person, Lawrence Fox, who actually made the comments, Dan was giggling and agreeing, basically. As far as I understand, Dan didn't actually make the comments. Lawrence points out text messages between, I'm going to assume him and Dan. The names aren't on there, but that's a safe assumption. Making you giggle is my weekly joy. And the person answers, you can imagine them freaking out in the gallery. So much fun, XX. So whoever said what, and I think blue would be Fox, not totally sure, but whoever said what, obviously they were joking about it. Although there's not a whole bunch of context here. And the other thing is, Lawrence kind of threw Dan under the bus because this isn't something Dan meant to go public. So it shows that for whatever reason, Lawrence Fox doesn't care so much about what happens to Dan and what Dan thinks of Lawrence. He might have been mad that Dan made this long apology and didn't stick by him. That's possible too. Either way, it doesn't show such loyalty to Dan, which shows something about Dan's character. My whole thing is also that women aren't held to the same scrutiny. If a woman said this about a man or there's allegations against her, like Lizzo right now, those allegations are ignored. There's no punishment. So I said, I don't agree these comments were so bad. Similar things said about a man probably would not see a female presenter suspended. I can't think of an example, but I can't feel bad for Dan. Whatever happens to him is fine after those Sun articles, of course. Like I said, I don't feel bad for Dan. I'm not going to stick up for him because he doesn't deserve support. But at the same time, I don't think the comments were so bad. And Laura points out this one. We already know that. It doesn't make them less offensive. Okay, I guess they were offensive. Sure, I get that. But not offensive enough for a suspension, in my opinion. Just an apology. I said that already, but yeah, that's what I think. And the context is what they were a little bit irritated about was that this person, Ava, was belittling male suicide, which is not exactly nice either. So is this the kind of person that really deserves to be defended so hard? I don't quite think so. I gotta admit, I'm making this video kind of in the middle of learning about her. There must be something someplace she said about you-know-who and Virginia, and I would bet she did not defend Johnny. In the best case scenario, she was probably in the middle, leaning towards Amber. But I can't say for sure. That's just my silly opinion, but I'll keep looking. And if you know something, let me know. And then, well, I'll have a follow up. For now, I'll leave it as it is. Ultimately, there were Fox's comments. Dan's caught in the crosshair. But there is a theory that GB News is using this as an excuse to suspend Dan over allegations against Dan, which we know well about, which I'm concerned about because they sound pretty legit, but we're waiting for Byline Times to give us more. Let me know what you think in the comments. Doing shout outs, special thanks. For the record, nothing against the real Laura B. We agree like 90% or more of the time. It's just, I wouldn't be defending this lady. There's really no one in this situation I would take the side of as far as who deserves what. If you're not subscribed here, consider it. If you don't, I'll be sad, but I'll get over it. See you next time.